So you know the Bliss team for WoW is hard at work with all the buffs and nerfs and changes and tuning and aura modifiers on everything, both pre-patch and on the beta, and we're here to cover all of the changes.
All of them, because we did say that you shouldn't look at the numbers since there's gonna be buffs and there's gonna be nerfs and there's gonna be changes, and we have them all, and we're gonna do a roundup of what happened in the last week.
Everything, and it's gonna be like from last reset up until now. We're probably gonna have a lot more tomorrow with the next reset, but so far so good. So we started off with the pre-patch. Since last time we got some pretty juicy hotfixes coming around. Started off with Shaman. Restoration had quite the damage increase on all over the board, man.
Just like, a smidge.
Yeah, I mean, you got things like Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Lava Burst, Flame Shack, all of those got buffed by, I think all of them got buffed by 20%.
And Acid Rain, the talent that got Restoration Shamans into Torghast in Shadowlands, making your, you know, Healing Rain do also damage. That also has been buffed by 20%, which, I mean, it sounds like a lot, and it probably is a lot if you would put it in a DPS context, but considering that Restoration Shaman is gonna rotate healing spells in between these, the 20% is good if you're like, you know, gonna blast for a couple of moments, but it won't increase your overall damage by 20%.
Yeah, not too much. Warlocks on the hotfixes for last reset, I think they got a little bit of nerfs to their survivability. And that was Soul Leech and Souling. Dude, I haven't seen tanks being that good on surviving, man. So Soul Leech was reduced to 6%. It was 8%. We got Souling that was reduced to 5%. I think it was initially
from
10%.
But it's only Grimoire of Sacrifices. If you took the Grimoire of Sacrifice talent.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know a lot of people took that, so it's fine. Profane Bargain increases stamina. Stamina. It increases it by 5%. It was initially 5, 10.
5 and 10, yeah, because 2 ranks, yeah.
And then we got a couple of things like, you know, for the Demonic Fortitude, it's just a slight little, you know, nerf over there.
Just shaving at the HP.
Yeah, it was 6% in the past. Then we got Inquisitor's Gaze. We got, that was like for Fell Blast, it was casting more often.
Yeah, because you have like the little eye that pews the targets.
Yeah,
it was
also got the damage increase as well, right?
So it does 30% more damage and casts faster, so it's probably more than 30% just damage increase.
Yeah, and also someone Soul Keeper damage was increased by 30% as well. I would say, you know, for the pre-patch, we're not lingering too much on, you know, oh my god, what's happening on the pre-patch, but these are hotfixes that came in last reset. Now, 2 days after that was on November 9, we got a couple of fixes for Hunters. There was some issues with Marks, well, issues in their benefit, I would guess, with Wailing Arrow. They would deal like damage to everything that was caught up into Wild Spirits. I think that was fixed on, again, a hotfix on the 9th of November.
So that's why they were doing so much damage. Those Beastmasters, man, they tricked me.
And they knew, man. They knew. There was also an issue where, like, wind arrows were incorrectly causing Wild Spirits to deal damage. Well, it's part of the same
the same circle of fix. So just basically bug fixes that will kind of reduce your damage.
Yeah. And also sticking with the winds, there was an issue with Doom Winds that was granting higher than expected trigger rate of Wind Fury weapon. I know that also got fixed. So there was a lot of like unintended bugs, things that happened in the pre-patch, and it's always the case. So please do not make decisions based on what you see on pre-patch. But then on November 10th, we got for Vengeance, we had a fix for Darkness. What was it? To be it increased by 10% instead of the intended.
Yeah, the chance to dodge an attack from 10 was buffed 20%, which I mean
was fixed. It was fixed because that was always the case they wanted to do. And then we got the Boomkin shenanigans.
Oh my god, this is the first thing that people have been pointing it out, because balance has been kind of like slapping, and this is one of the nerfs that I'm not 100% sure that it was well warranted, because on pre-patch, yes, pre-patch is ridiculous, but this will obviously translate into Dragonflight, so we will have to see, because Starfall was nerfed by 30%, Starfire was nerfed by 15%, which basically addresses Boomkin AoE. Now, the issue with Boomkin AoE is not necessarily that Starfall does a lot of damage, is that there are extra layers of player power that boosts his damage to ridiculous numbers layers that you will not have, and I'm talking about the Arcanic Pulsar Legendary that gives you more Celestial Alignment and more damage procs, and the Ravenous Frenzy, which we're both going to lose come in Dragonflight. So we'll see how this translates into, you know, the Season 1 Mythic Plus and all that.
Yeah. Well, it's a different thing, right? So what they're balancing on the pre-patch, you know, will probably look a lot different once we get into Season 1.
Likely.
Like, but there's also like Wrath now generates 8 Astral Power. Used to generate 6, which, you know, it's a little buff there, but I didn't see any
good for single
complaints.
target, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see any complaints. And then we can, we had a little fix for Assassination as well. Not too much of an issue there. So like there was a rune carving power Deathwalker's
Yeah, the
patch.
legendary that affected Vendetta now also affects Deathmark.
Deathmark, yeah. So it's all, but again, pre-patch stuff. It's all gonna go away on Season 1 that's gonna go live. On November the 11th.
Well, what is it, like 2 days later, man?
Yeah, we got even more nerfs for Warlock survivability and tankiness. So Dark Pact will shield you for 200% of your the health sacrifice. It used to be 250%.
Yeah.
And the Dark Pact's additional shield amount has been reduced by 50%.
This was ridiculous. This had to be taken down as notch.
So these were basically the hot fixes and, you know, bug fixes and tuning for the pre-patch that happened up until the reset. So from the 7th of November up until now. Now we're gonna look at what happens on the beta, which I might add is a little bit more important.
Yeah,
because this is probably gonna affect you way more heavily once you get into Season 1. So let's start it off with the Blood Death Knight, which overall received buffs across the board. I've seen like basically the attack power component for most of the abilities has been buffed, like things like Blood Boil, Bone Storm, Consumption, Heart Strike. All of the attack power percentages from there got buffed. I know you play Blood Decay, and you must have something to say about this. Do you have
it's a lot of damage gain, man, and Blood Decay definitely needed all the damage gains, and pretty much the entire rotation from Arrow and Heart Strike and everything that you mentioned as well was buffed. The Death Strike, the improved Death Strike talent has been nerfed slightly to provide you 5% instead of the 10%, and also Warrior. On the beta was also addressed. Protection was taken down a peg once again, where Revenge is now dealing 42.75% of your attack power down from 45%, and Thunderclap now also has a 41% attack power scaling down from 46%, and Shield Charge is now on the global cooldown, which...
I mean, come on, man, it's not the end of the world, right?
I don't know, man. You tell that to the entire Warrior community that we've been asking for Shield Charge to...
Yeah, I know, man. I know. It's
kind of like the charge, so...
some nerfs were expected. I'm assuming, because I know like the talks around Protection Warrior were heavily on this. Maybe it's a little bit too much, but it's not final. There's still long testing shit to go.
It could be. It might not be as bad as people might make it to think. Also, Fury was buffed, though.
Oh, well, hell yeah, man. I mean, improved Whirlwind, of course, the talent, obviously, that got, the buff from, what was it, 45% to 50%. Pretty good, I would say. Yep. And also the Meat Cleaver talent, Whirlwind will deal 25% damage instead of 20% more damage. And now, the four other targets or whatever. So it's good buffs for cleaving, which we love for Fury to do. Oh my god, I started with Decay and I jumped Warrior. Now I understand what was all the mix-up. I'm sorry, guys. This was on the 9th and 10th of November. But we also got Guardian on the 10th of November, which was pretty good. Pretty decent. So the first thing is like we got the Dream of Scenarios, right? So when you take non-periodic damage, you have a chance equal to your critical strike because your next go to heal for an additional 200%, anti-beast and free and castable and all from. This was added. Okay, so the heal for an additional 200% was added to the whole shenanigan.
That's very big. That's like Word of Glory big.
I know, man. I know this is because let's get through it and then we can talk about what this means. Rage of the Sleeper again had an addition, so unleashes the Rage of Ursoc for 10 seconds, preventing 25% of all damage you take. And this is what was added here, increasing your damage done by 15%, granting you 25% leech. There's also the nature damage, reflecting nature damage back to the attackers. Also, the cooldown is changed from 1.5 minutes to 1 minute. I think this is a huge buff.
This is a very big buff.
It's our like 100%, and we also have to address the Empower Maul thing. It deals 40% increased damage, costs 100% less rage. This was an addition for it, and reduces the target's damage by 15% for 6 seconds. Now, Guardian Druid, we complained so much about it, and voila!
On top of all of this, and I think this was prior to this, there was Guardian Druid also received the 50% damage to its aura buff on top of everything. And with this, Tooth and Claw definitely fixes the issues with Maul, because Maul, even though it was empowered, it was still eating a lot of your race. So in single target, this will be your biggest damage source as it is right now, while Rage of the Sleeper is a legit 1 minute cooldown that buffs your damage by so much. It's really good. Not to mention Dream of Scenarios gives you like massive regen.
No, it's looking pretty awesome, man. I mean, this is the thing. This might be a main alt tank for you.
I mean,
it's looking juicy, but we're gonna get to all mains and alts in a future video for sure. Monk, Mistweavers, buffs once again. We've seen Restoral and Revival being buffed, like they used to be 283% spell power. They got buffed to 325.45. So big buffs over there. Uplifted Spirits got nerfed a bit. I know the healing of the target was 15% and now is 10%.
Yeah.
Not too big of a deal. Then we have Shaman once again. Like, this is on beta, guys. Okay, so this is on what we're gonna expect for season 1. Healing Tide Totem got buffed as well. You're gonna have 43.75% increase to that. That's from spell power. It used to be 35%, so that got buffed as well.
25% buff.
Yep. Then the Demon Hunter.
So the Collective Anguish talent for Demon Hunter has basically been buffed with its scaling, where now when you summon your additional Demon Hunter, that does the Fell Devastation if you're eventually Havoc, it will deal a 17.6% of your attack power, up from 16%. It's a small upgrade, but it does add up because it's AoE and this is multiplied by 10. So it's a lot of damage overall. And Havoc itself has had some nerfs where demonic words, tattoos, defense has been lowered to 10% down from 15%, and Accelerated Blade, which was the talent, the Throw Glaive, deals now 20% increased damage down from 25% for each enemy hit, which we have seen the Throw Glaive build for Havoc really smacking those DPS meters. Not to mention that I think we can all agree that Havoc just takes so much less magic damage than everybody else.
Yeah,
that 5% is just fair. It's just, manners.
It's fine. But then you're gonna have Vengeance, which got buffs all across the goddamn board.
I'm still scrolling.
Yeah, it's a huge list of buffs, but basically it's similar to Blood Decay. The attack power component of the majority of the spells got increased heavily in some cases. It's like, okay, so if you look at Fury Brand, there used to be 5% attack power increase. This has been raised up to 30%.
It's only 6 times.
Yeah, it's huge, man. Sheer got increased to 45% of attack power was 41. Yeah. Let's look for a big chunky one.
Well, I mean, Sigil of Flame, Soul Cleave, Fell Devastation, Fiery Brand, Frailty, Fracture, Sigil of Flame again, Soul Covered. All of them have gotten like small buffs, but they all round up to a bigger rotation.
But Fury Brand was the biggest. I mean, that's like a huge leap, right? So it's huge. The vulnerability talent got a little bit nerfed from what I saw. So like,
yeah, this was the big nerf that every Vengeance was talking about. So basically, Frailty now from the vulnerability all reduces the damage that you deal to affect target by to 2% down from 4%, and for the rank 8 down from the second rank. Down from the 8% now is down to 4%, so it basically reduces your overall damage. This will affect players in different ways, so your average player that cannot really get to max stacks of vulnerability won't really feel that. So if you're just like casually playing and just having some fun, you're gonna be okay. For the people pushing into min-max, you're probably gonna see a little bit of a dip in your damage.
All right, so we're still gonna have a lot of like aura modifiers. We're not gonna go into that because they're like really specific and it doesn't. So it's basically all gathered up from data mining. It's either like usually an increase for some ability. So until we have like the proper like laid out text for it, we're not gonna go into too much of those. Like you're gonna see like I don't know, for Druid, the general talent for Starfire that has been nerfed. And I can see why. I think it's because of I think for both Guardian and Boomkin. Then you have Balance, which Again, they have the aura buff from 60 to 80. It's a lot of like numbers who don't necessarily mean much, or we can't really scale it too much. This again happened on the 10th of November. Warrior Execute, this has been nerfed. I can see it here that it's like 97% attack power. It used to be 105%. This is from the general talent tree. So Execute has been nerfed all across the board. Now for arms, for Seasoned Soldier, your auto attack critical strikes generate 10% more rage. Used to be 20%. I guess there was a little bit of over bloating there for rage. Didn't feel like warriors were complaining that were being rage starved. I think that's not arms. Improve Execute talent. Execute no longer has a cooldown, and if your foe survives, 10% of the rage spent is refunded. Again, this used to be 20%. So these are rage nerfs for arms. Now, Juggernaut, Martial Prowess, Moral Strike, Overpower, buffs
for everybody. So improved Overpower was increased to 15% extra damage from 10. Juggernaut now finally was buffed again, stack up to 15 times, was 12. Martial Prowess makes the damage of that Overpower buffs your Mortal Strike and Cleave by 25% per stack, up from 20%. And a lot of other buffs, although Skull Splitter generates less rage now. It's down to 15 from 20, the previous 20, but it had the cooldown reduced. So overall, it's probably kind of evening it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the line with the rage nerfs once again. Let's go for the November 11, because that's where you have like the big juicy Guardian buffs. So even though this is an aura buff, it's a 50% aura buff for
Maul, Mangle, Thrash, Pulverize, Brambles, Lunar Beam, Swipe, Wisdom and Fury, and Architect's Liner. Basically, almost everything except Moonfire, which was the meme because Bear was just doing massive Moonfire damage.
Guardian!
So now your entire Bear toolkit does more and more damage on the abilities that had to do more damage, not to mention that after the Wildfire talent, where every 200 rage you spend gives a burst of restorative healing to your party, now that healing has been increased from 150% of your attack power to 600% of your attack power.
I mean, isn't that a small increase?
That's a increase. We're not going to, put any oil on the fire or whatever. Pulverize also was buffed to now give you to now do 135% of your attack power and damage, up from 96. So this is also like what is it, like a 40% increase in damage, which is pretty good. Reinforced Fur now makes Iron Fur increase your armor by an additional 8%, which was 4% prior to this. And Scintillating Moonlight, which was addressed a couple of times, now the Moonfire reduces the damage that enemies deal to you by 5% for the rank 1, which was 2% before, and 10% for rank 2, up from the previous 4%, which is pretty big.
Yeah, and also Marksmanship also got buffed for the beta. We have like Aim Shot, Kill Shot, and Rapid Fire. All got buffed for their attack power component. Once again, Aim Shot has now 255% attack power, was 232. Kill Shot is now 253% attack power. It used to be 230. It's kind of like small incremental, but it does bump it up. It adds up for sure. And Rapid Fire will deal a total of a 45.6% of attack power. It used to be 38 on physical damage.
Times 7.
Yeah.
It's a big.
I mean, you're gonna see it for sure, and this is not final once again, but we have to go through them. Next up on the list, Assassination.
Criticalando.
The Rogue. I mean, damn, it's a lot of buffs for that too, and I feel it was kind of warranted, to be fair. So like, Fan of Knives got buffed again, 53% of attack power. It used to be 44%. Garrote, 198% of attack power. This used to be 183. Blindside, it's like the chance gets like, you know what Blindside is. So ambush and mutilate, they have a 20% chance to give you a free ambush. Okay, now if your chance will get increased for 40% if the target is under 35%. This used to be under 30%, so it's a buff. Once again, you get more chances for free ambushes.
Window.
Yeah. Now, there's an issue here with Flying Daggers because the radius for Fan of Knives, because of this, has been kind of nerfed a little bit. It used to be 15 yards, and that's going to be 12.
Yep.
So I'm not sure about that. But then King's Bait, Shrouded Suffocation, Zoldyck's Recipe, the old legendary that is now a talent, everything got buffed here, so it's looking pretty decent for Assassination. We're very, very eager to see how this will translate into the actual
Trying to keep up with that
game.
Outlaw, man.
Yeah. How about Shaman Flame? You've seen
Well,
some Shaman
Elemental has
modifiers.
received a bunch of nerfs and buffs. So basically, it had its aura for the damage and healing nerfed, so now it deals a little bit less, but then it was buffed back up, so...
back and forth with
So
them.
basically, Lightning Bolt Overload and Lightning Bolt normally and Earthen Smash and Lava Bolt have been nerfed, while Lava Burst and the Lava Burst Overload has been buffed, so you basically have bigger meatballs. Not to mention Flame Shock was buffed. Deeply Rooted Elements has also been nerfed, where casting Lava Burst has a 7% chance down from 8% chance to activate Ascendance. Not a big one, but I guess just to keep it in tune. And Heat Wave makes the casting Primordial Wave trigger Lava Surge immediately, and every 3 seconds for 12 seconds, Lava Surge triggered by Primordial Wave increase the damage of your next Lava Burst by 25%, up from 20%. Rolling Magma has had each of its ranks buffed to reduce the cooldown of Primordial Wave by 0.5 seconds instead of 0.2, for a total of 1 second, down from the previous 0.5 seconds, so basically more cooldown reduction. And for Enhancement Shaman, for everybody that was upset by the big 25% overall nerf, now you've been buffed again on pretty much all of your spells. We're not gonna go into details with all the aura stuff.
Yep, okay. So last but not least, we're gonna just close it off with the Arcane Mage, okay? Because there's again, lots of buffs all across the board.
Yep.
You have Arcane Blast, Arcane Barrage, Arcane Missiles, Arcane Orb. Hey, do you see any common denominator here?
Yeah, so it sounds like Arcane.
So all of these got their spell power component buffed up.
And Arcane Explosion as well.
Yeah, so the thing is, performance on the beta is always like something very, very tricky. And this is like based on feedback from the players, internal testing, what has been done on the Mythic Plus testing and on the raids. It's not final, but this has been like to encapsulate all of the changes that
what like 1 week of tuning looks like.
Yeah, pre-patch plus beta, okay? And this looks like it's far from over. I'm very curious to see what they're gonna do to like other specs coming on the way here. Specifically, I'm curious to see what they're gonna do to paladins, because it's gonna be very, very interesting.
Just give them more damage.
Yeah, but hopefully this makes it a little bit more clear on what is to be expected. If you like still play actively on the pre-patch, then there you go, you're up to date. And if you're still deciding on what to play on the beta and what's happening over there, then just don't make a decision just yet based on damage, because you can see clearly now how much they're like jiggling and juggling everything.
Then we're likely gonna see more and more of this as weeks come. So if you're still trying to decide on what you want to main, if damage is important for you, you might have to wait. But otherwise, we still recommend you doing proper research in terms of what's fun, and we already have videos on that. On different types of mains and specs and classes that you can take.
Yeah, you better get familiar with our content, man. We help you out. This is our shtick. This is what we do here. But hey, thank you for watching. Let us know in the comments what you think. Thank you, Patrons, for supporting the content. We love y'all. Check the links in the description. There's a ton over there for like Twitches and Patreons and Twitters and all of that. And see you very soon. All right? Bye!
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.